If you didn't know, Doom Eternal's soundtrack for those who bought the special edition of Doom came out, and Bethesda managed to screw up this pre-order just like they did Fallout 76. If you've been living under a rock, Doom Eternal is the sequel to 2016's reboot of id's classic game, Doom. Doom 2016 brought a great, refreshing feel to the first-person shooter genre. The game completely forgoes the story narrative and jumps into arena-style combat. Recently, with the coof that's going on, I haven't really had much else to do other than get yelled at by my kids.
How are you? Say hi. Say hi.
Stop.
No, you stop.
No, you stop.
No, you stop.
You stop.
You stop.
No, you stop.
You stop.
You stop.
You stop.
Stop.
You stop.
No, sit down.
And play video games. Playing through Doom Eternal was a pretty fun experience. I was pretty much glued to the screen the entire time, and I loved the entire fast-paced, tense moments in combat that you get, and especially when you listen to Mick Gordon's music that was made for the game. Something that's really always stood out to me has been video game music. Whether it's Final Fantasy, The Legend of Zelda, a Mario game, Kirby, menu music. It's just something that stands out or brings back a specific memory, and Doom is no different than those games. E1M1 is probably the most famous Doom song that's ever been recorded. I mean, it's been re-recorded and remixed so many different ways that it's a song that stands the test of time. When I play newer games, though, I find that its music is not something that really attracts me to playing it. It's never something that I listen to when I'm writing or I'm just sitting at my computer playing. It's always the older games that I go back to refer to when I listen to video game soundtracks. Well, the soundtrack for Doom Eternal came out, but I guess the final mix doesn't sound exactly on point. There's a Twitter user who actually broke this down. He goes by the handle That AC/DC Guy. He's the creator of Rough Audio, and he's a blogger on there too, and he works in a lot of audio. So he was analyzing the music and its composition. So he came across the evidence when he took BFG Division from 2016 and BFG Division on Doom Eternal and put them together and looked at them on audiophile. And when we look at that, we can see right here in his pictures that the audio file from 2016 obviously looks like a little more intense. And then we go over to Doom Eternal's version of the song, and we can see that there's some flatlining going on throughout most of the track on the top and the bottom. And he goes into why this happens, quoting him, "Now maybe you're unfamiliar with audio mixing and you're thinking, okay, there's clearly a visual difference. How does this translate to what I'm hearing?" So basically, when there's more definition in wavelengths, which is what we see in the 2016 version he's saying, there's greater dynamic range between the instruments. In the case of music, dynamic range gives instruments more breathing room, so to speak. While there are exceptions, in most cases you don't want instruments to compete with each other for dominance. You want them to harmonize together to create new and interesting sounds. So he explains why this is happening. What's happening is, in the left image is Doom 2016, the instruments have greater dynamic range, which is shown from the wavelengths. However, the image on the right from Doom Eternal is not the case. The wavelengths on each instrument have been compressed to the point where they are all playing back at the same volume, with exception to an occasional peak. These heavily compressed mixes were thrown together and had their combined master volume lowered, which is what creates those seemingly perfect parallel edges throughout. The instruments are all fighting each other, and thus the mix sounds very poor as a result. He then goes on to say Mick Gordon is far more a talented audio engineer than me. It's not even close, and that's what makes this especially frustrating. I expect much better from him. Again, the music itself is phenomenal, but the mix on the official soundtrack is frankly terrible. So if you do listen to the tracks, he posts a video in this tweet if you look him up. There's a video that he has on his YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description. But he compares the two audio files and shows you what each one sounds like and explains where in the audio files it has these moments of distortion. It's pretty interesting. I recommend going and giving it a watch. He explains in the video how they go about the process of editing the sound to make it sound exactly like the new track does with the old one. Mick Gordon replies, though, and says, "I didn't mix those and wouldn't have done that. You'll be able to spot the small handful of tracks I mixed. meat hook, command and control, etc. So what it sounds like is that Mick Gordon wasn't given complete creative control over the final mixes of the soundtrack that was supposed to release. Mick Gordon was actually pretty upset with what happened. There was a picture that was posted on Reddit with a screenshot from a phone conversation with allegedly Mick Gordon, and it says, "Yo Mick, are you going to be there if id decides to work on another Doom game?" To which Mick replies, "Doubt we'll work together again." So it apparently seems that we're witnessing a I don't want to say separation because we don't really exactly know what's going on, but what it sounds like, because of what they did or because of some things that have been transpiring with the game soundtrack, it seems that Mick Gordon probably won't be there for the future of Doom, and that's honestly kind of upsetting. He also does an interview with PC Gamer and tells the interviewer, "I take a lot of pride in my work. It's all I do, it's all I have, and I pour my heart and soul into it." He added that he's still trying to understand the situation himself and has no further comments at this time. End quote. I mean, this isn't the only pre-order that Bethesda has screwed up. Look at the last couple things that Bethesda has put out. It's been a very frustrating time for people who probably are playing things like Fallout 76, and that's what they're toting, and that's the flag that we're supposed to be rallying under right now, and it doesn't seem right. I mean, this isn't the only pre-order that Bethesda has screwed up. We look at the Fallout 76 pre-order with the canvas bags that everybody was supposed to get, and they end up sending a bunch of plastic bags to everybody. People put $200 into this because they wanted a product that they paid for, and you didn't even give them that. Granted, 7 months later, they finally send the canvas bag to everybody who filed a claim to Bethesda about these bags. But what you should have done in the first place was follow through with the product that you promised people. If people ordered the collector's edition of Doom Eternal for that helmet and for the soundtrack that Mick Gordon produced, you were supposed to, as a company, give the product that you have promised to the people. You even delayed the soundtrack release for those who bought the special edition of Doom Eternal. And even after delaying it, you give them a subpar product. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty jealous of anybody who got the collector's edition of Doom Eternal. Especially with now going on, I'd love to be wearing that thing going outside instead of wearing a mask. That'd be pretty kick-ass. Doom Eternal and Fallout 76 are a lot of the reasons why I don't do pre-orders anymore. Especially in an age where you can digitally download games a couple days before the release date. It's companies like Bethesda, like EA, that's stuff that I don't like to put my money into anymore, because I don't trust that you're going to follow through with what you've promised. I mean, all these companies have shown that getting money from you as a customer and consumer is more important than giving us a product that actually works. For that TV spot that they put out, you know, with the rap music, it was probably some censoring issue that had to do with Doom's metal music not being used in its TV spot and why there's no gore in it. But okay, Doom isn't Call of Duty. You don't just slap a rap song over some in-game cutscenes. You don't even show any gameplay for the game to excite people to buy your game. It's just a music video. To hype people up for what? Another stupid shooter like Call of Duty that does the same repetitive crap all the time? I mean, look at a few of these comments. What's Doom famous for? It's gameplay and music. Cool. Let's show neither in the trailer. Only Bethesda can screw up marketing a game that virtually markets itself. Bethesda should just stop getting involved with games at this point. This one's my favorite. This sounds like a scrawny little kid rapping in his dad's closet. This is about the most tone-deaf trailer I've ever seen in my life. Seriously, you have one of the best composers in the industry create awesome music for the game, and you use some crap commercial-style rap? And again, courage, power, courage, the ability to do something that frightens one. The Doomslayer does not have fear, thus he does not need courage. He has rage. You know, and then he quotes an actual quote from the game. They are rage, brutal without mercy, but you will be worse. Rip and tear until it's done. There's a few things to take away from this. 1, Mick Gordon's music makes me feel all tingly inside when I'm murdering demons. 2, id Software or Bethesda, you're a piece of crap for not giving people the products that they paid for. And 3, if you guys liked the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I know the news is kind of old at this point. It's like 4 or 5 days old. but it's something I genuinely care about. Not only because I think people should get products that they pay for, but also on top of the fact that I really do care about video game music. And the fact that somebody was so nonchalant about the effort that was put into this, it's kind of off-putting, to say the least, about people who want to buy soundtracks for video games like I do. Music is used as a tool to convey the emotion that's inside of the artist's heart that produces the music, and the emotion that's inside of your heart and how you connect to that music. And Mick Gordon does an expert job at showing people what his music is supposed to make you feel. And what is that feeling?
Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.